No matter how many novenas you could make, nothing was going to stop what came up next at the casino.
Can't believe you're doing this.
We made a deal. You came to me, remember?
It turned out Phil Green, Mr. Integrity, had a partner nobody knew about, and when she showed up and started demanding some money from the Tangiers...
Why are you doing this to me?
Because you're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Yes, you are.
No, I am not wrong.
Green tried to stonewall her.
I will see to it that you do not get away with it.
So she sued him in court.
The court will now hear the matter of the plaintiff, Anna Scott, against Tangiers Corporation and its president, Philip Green.
Come on, Your Honor. John Momon on behalf of Mr. Green.
Mitchell Ogren on behalf of Anna Scott, Your Honor.
Mr. Ogren, you can proceed.
Thank you, Judge.
I believe he was absolutely fair, and I'm delighted with the decision.
We got a problem. It didn't go too well. Green has to open up the books. Has to show how he got the financing. And hey, that's not good.
She was doing pretty good with her lawsuit. But before she could start counting her money, the boys back home decided to settle the case out of court instead. So they sent me.
Anna Scott.
What are you talking about?
She was found last night, shot in the head. Was this just a real estate partnership?
Her lawyer said you were partners.
We were involved in minor real estate deals many years ago. It was never a partnership.
Police are calling us a mob. Did you ever hear the .22 caliber killer?
Two states are taking a new look at an old murder case, one that stretches back to the days when mobsters brazenly roamed Las Vegas.
This new interest in the 1975 murder of a San Diego businesswoman was sparked by reports last year from the Channel 8 I-team. Those reports have put the police on the trail of entirely different suspects.
George Knapp is here now with the exclusive story. George.
Ah, the good old days.
Yes.
The case harkens back to a time when mobsters looted our casinos and dispensed their own brand of justice to anyone who got in their way. The victim's name was Tamara Rand, a wealthy businesswoman who made the mistake of loaning money to a mobbed-up casino owner. Police have always believed that Las Vegas rackets boss Tough Tony Spilatro was behind the murder. Now they have new names to pursue. The laid-back beach city of San Diego has been home to a smattering of organized crime figures over the years, but the kind of crime and mob mayhem that were common in Las Vegas back in the mid-'70s were pretty much unknown here. That changed one afternoon in November 1975, when a body was found inside this upscale San Diego home. The victim was prominent businesswoman Tamara Rand, wife of a well-known doctor. She'd been shot 5 times with a silencer-equipped .22, which police figured was the signature of a mob hit.
Well, the manner in which it was accomplished, the weapon, the method, the 3 contact wounds under the chin.
It made a tremendous splash in San Diego because it appeared right from the beginning that it was an execution style, what a lot of investigators at the time felt was a gangland or organized crime type of execution.
It didn't take long for the trail to lead toward Las Vegas. Tamara Rand had told relatives that her life had been threatened following a business trip to Las Vegas. Then police uncovered a bombshell, evidence that Rand had loaned $500,000 to gambling's golden boy, Allen Glick, an obscure San Diego real estate executive who somehow had finagled more than $100 million in loans from the Teamsters, enough to purchase 4 Las Vegas gambling joints. At the time, Glick lived in a plush but heavily guarded La Jolla enclave. He flew daily to Las Vegas aboard a private jet. Officially, he was clean. It would later be proven he was a front man for the mob, handpicked by Milwaukee Mafia boss Frank Balistreri, awarded huge loans from the Bank of Organized Crime, the Teamsters Pension Fund. In 1975, state gaming agents had only begun to investigate alleged skimming within Glick's casinos. They would later discover that millions of dollars were stolen from the count room, then smuggled back to the Midwestern Mafia bosses who had installed Glick, as well as the real power in his hotels, Frank Lefty Rosenthal, a.k.a. the Genius, suspected of masterminding the skim. Rand believed that her loan to Glick had purchased 5% of his casino empire. When Glick denied such a deal, Rand filed a lawsuit that threatened to open Glick's books up to outside scrutiny. Rand had signed her own death warrant.
But all the final decisions are given by me.
Glick refused to answer police questions about the Rand murder, but he held a news conference to say he'd been unfairly maligned and to insist that he, not Lefty Rosenthal, called the shots in his casinos, something that proved to be a lie. Eventually, police concluded Glick was too much of a patsy to order a hit.
There was a point in the initial investigation where Mr. Glick was certainly considered a suspect, but I think that he's been eliminated at this point.
Lawmen concluded but never proved that the architect of the hit was Tony the Ant Spilatro, the street boss of Las Vegas. Infamous hitman turned informant Jimmy the Weasel Fradiano confessed knowing that Spilatro had cased the Rand home prior to the slaying on orders from the Balistraries of Milwaukee. In his life, the late Spilatro was a suspect in 22 unsolved gangland slayings. Oscar Goodman, now the mayor of Las Vegas, was the lawyer for Spilatro and Glick at the time of Rand's murder.
I don't believe that either of them had anything at all to do with her demise. They never talked about her. I heard her name mentioned once or twice in a context of other people in the San Diego area, but never pointing her out as though she was anybody that they would fear or would want to hurt.
It might just be the cops now agree with Goodman, so who might have done it?
I know that Granby went to California and killed her.
Las Vegan Wendy Hanley says she lived with Rand's killers. Her common-law husband in the 70s was Tom Hanley, a notorious labor figure, who together with his son Granby was suspected in a string of mob-tainted murders for hire. Wendy says she knew of the Rand hit before it happened.
Granby came back and told me that he was going to fly to California and kill a witch. About 3 weeks later, he came back with a brand new car that he had bought in California and said that he had bought the car with the monies that he had received for killing the witch.
Is there proof to back up what she says? Wendy's allegations were enough to get police to reopen the case. We know that they have located new witnesses who've shed light on the murder, including former mafia figures now in hiding. And we've learned they are in pursuit of physical evidence that may resolve this mystery once and for all. Tonight at 11, what evidence are they seeking and who have they talked to?
One of those faces, the mayor, we know where he is now.
Sure.
What about some of the other people?
Well, Tony Spilatro was murdered in 1987. His slaying has never been solved. Lefty Rosenthal, as you'll recall, survived a car bombing. He now lives in Florida. Allen Glick testified against the mob in the skimming case. He now lives in seclusion in Southern California. Granby Hanley remains in prison for the murder of culinary union boss Al Bramlett. Tom Hanley died in prison for that same crime. San Diego police say they want to talk to Granby Hanley and Allen Glick about this case, but they fully expect to have the door shut in their face in both instances.
A Video Vault morning here on the program. There's Tom Hawley across the studio with the story.
And this month marks the 20th anniversary of the release of Casino, a movie which, unlike many others set in Las Vegas, gets it right. Today we're looking at one small scene from that movie that happened in November 40 years ago.
Well, it was based on a woman named Tamara Rand, who was a real estate investor in San Diego.
In the movie, it's Fluff LeCoq as Anna Scott, opposite Kevin Pollak as Philip Green, based on real life's Alan R. Glick,
who was really the front man for the Argent Corporation, which owned the Stardust and 3 other hotels in Las Vegas, but of course which was secretly operated by the Chicago outfit and other Midwestern mob groups.
Frank had a good reputation in the Midwest, East Coast, Chicago, Kansas.
As in Frank the Bonpensiero, who operated out of San Diego, where Rand lived. His nephew, Joe Bonpensiero, says Frank was acquainted with Las Vegas muscleman Tony Spilatro, played in the movie by Joe Pesci as Nicky Santoro.
Spilatro being from Chicago, etc., or back, and here, not familiar with the area, turned to somebody he knew that lived there he could trust, and that would have been Frank.
Spilatro had been sent to San Diego because Rand was suing Glick.
Why are you doing this to me?
She invested in it on the premise that she wanted to get involved in the casino business, but she felt like Glick had betrayed her and that he had not honored his obligation.
The Mob Museum's Jeff Schumacher says the lawsuit meant opening the Stardust account records.
But before she could start counting her money, the The boys back home decided to settle the case out of court instead, so they sent me.
The movie implies it was Spilotro solo and doesn't represent Bonpensiero.
They were together. No question about it.
Was Frank just a wheelman, or did he pull a trigger? All people can do is speculate.
Where are they going to get the information? From the source? You know, and they ain't talking. Or they are going to go to the dead guy?
Well, the two who made the hit, they went out gangland style themselves. Bonpensiero in 77 and Spilotro in 86. We'll shed a lot more light on Frank Bonpensiero later this month. Meanwhile, the Mob Museum is hosting a courtroom conversations discussion on the movie Casino with legendary Las Vegas broadcasters Gwen Castaldi and Bob Stoldal this Saturday night. We've got links in the Video Vault section of news3lv.com. Kim and Dana.